Hello everybody, this is Gareth Cahoon Speaks back here with another video. I'd like you to hit the subscribe bar, give me a thumbs up if you like the video, or hit the notification bell to be notified when I post my next post. Or otherwise you can donate to my ministry and the charities that I support at garethcahoon3@gmail.com. This one here on PayPal. This one here is 42 lost pages of the early New Testament manuscript recovered through technology and careful research. The recovered pages come from one of the oldest manuscripts of the Pauline letters. A team of academics at the University of Glasgow has successfully recovered 42 lost pages from one of the most important early New Testament manuscripts called Codex H, the university announced in late April. The manuscript, a 6th century copy of the letters of Paul, is considered important not only because it contained one of the oldest collections of the Pauline epistles, but also it was the earliest manuscript to contain the Euthylian apparatus, a collection of reader aids for understanding the book of Acts and the Pauline letters, designed as an aid to understand the Pauline corpus of texts as well as the book of Acts. The Euthylian apparatus contains editorial material, including some of the earliest chapter divisions, a chronology of Paul's journeys, and letter writing, a list of locations where each epistle was believed to have been written, as well as a list of quotations and citations from the Old Testament which appear in Paul's writings. Traditionally, the Euthylian apparatus is attributed to Euthelius, a bishop of either Seleucia in Sardinia, Seleucia in Egypt, or Seleucia near Cyrene, also in Egypt. The apparatus dates to the 4th or 5th century, appearing in the Armenian and Syriac texts in the 5th century. According to Daniel B. Wallace, founder and executive director of the Center for the Study of New Testament Manuscripts and senior research professor at Emeritus of the New Testament Studies at Dallas Theological Seminary, the apparatus contained in these pages is the oldest one we have. The 42 rediscovered pages of the Codex H were considered lost to history when they were removed from that codex in the 13th century due to the effects of aging. The pages were scrapped clean, re-inked, and then reused as binding material and flag leaves for other manuscripts. At the Great Lava Monastery at Mount Athos, Greece, due to the high cost of creating parchment, this reuse was common practice in the Middle Ages. Today, the surviving fragments of the Codex are contained in these manuscripts, scattered across libraries in Italy, Greece, Russia, Ukraine, and France. The breakthrough came from an important starting point. Professor Garrick Allen related, "We knew that at one point the manuscripts was re-inked. The chemicals in the new ink caused offset damage to facing pages, essentially creating a mirror image of the text on the opposite leaf, sometimes leaving traces several pages deep, barely visible to the naked eye, but very clear with the latest imaging techniques," Professor Allen explained. In partnership with Early Manuscripts Electronic Library, researchers used multispectral imaging to process images of the extant pages in order to recover ghost texts that no longer physically exists, effectively retrieving multiple pages of information from every single physical page. He continued to ensure historical accuracy. The team also collaborated with experts in Paris to perform radiocarbon dating, confirming the parchment's 6th century origin. Multispectral imaging uses light outside the visible spectrum, such as ultraviolet and infrared, to reveal details invisible to the naked eye. Speaking to CBN News, Raj Nair, Dr. Wallace clarified, "We don't actually have 42 new pages. What we have is the residue of ink left over from those 42 pages that was pressed against the following page." Dr. Wallace also clarified that the discovery does not involve any new material to the New Testament, saying that the rediscovered pages contain about 130 verses of Paul's letters. He explained, "It's something like 130 more verses are found in Paul's letters than what we had known before previously from this manuscript, but it's not 130 verses more that we didn't know about at all. It's just from this particular manuscript." While the rediscovered text contains no new material from Paul's letters, the discovery provides a unique insight into how the New Testament was transmitted and understood through the centuries. For example, the chapter and section divisions in Paul's letters in the book of Acts contained in these pages are different to the modern groupings and divisions in some other older codexes. The order of books in the New Testament differs from that found in modern Bibles. Dr. Wallace clarified, however, that the verse order in the Pauline letters is the same as in modern Bibles. Given that Codex H is such an important witness to our understanding of Christian scripture, to have discovered any new evidence, let alone this quantity of what is originally looked like, is nothing short of monumental, Professor Allen added. Key findings from the rediscovered pages include ancient chapter and division lists, which differ from those used today. Insights into scribe practices, further evidence of how sacred texts were reused and repurposed once they began to show signs of wear. So this is just absolutely amazing that these words have been found by using multispectral technology, that like infrared, that has not brought anything new to the Bible but confirms the historicity of the Bible and how it was written on parchment. And I don't care how it got there. I'm just so glad that the Bible exists, that today anyone, whether they're of low means or millionaires, can hold the same Bible in their hand that Yeshua did when he was alive. Obviously, when Yeshua was there, there was no New Testament. It hadn't been written yet. But the New Testament was basically Yeshua confirming the Old, because every statement in the New Testament is basically Yeshua quoting from the Old Testament. That's why I believe that the Old Testament, to me, is more important, not more important, but on the same importance, and should not be taken lightly. In fact, I believe that there's more to be gleaned from reading the Old Testament, because the Old Testament, from Genesis right through, is speaking of the Messiah, Yeshua. It all points to him and it all ends with him. Shalom. Iron